affection. Is that so?" The man with the glazed hat leaned over the table and made an imaginary shot that sent the ball spinning round the cushions. Then, walking round the table, he recovered the ball and placed it upon the spot. This duty discharged, getting ready for another shot, he said, "S'pose she has?" The master choked up again, but, squeezing the cushion of the table in his gloved hand, he went on. "If you are a gentleman, I have only to tell you that I am her guardian and responsible for her career. You know as well as I do the kind of life you offer her. As you may learn of anyone here, I have already brought her out of an existence worse than death, out of the streets and the contamination of vice. I am trying to do so again. Let us talk like men. She has neither father, mother, sister, or brother. Are you seeking to give her an equivalent for these?" The man with the glazed hat examined the point of his cue, and then looked around for somebody to enjoy the joke with him. "I know that she is a strange, wilful girl," continued the master, "but she is better than she was. I believe that I have some influence over her still. I beg and hope, therefore, that you will take no further steps in this matter, but as a man, as a gentleman, leave her to me. I am willing—" But here something rose again in the master's throat, and the sentence remained unfinished. The man with the glazed hat, mistaking the master's silence, raised his head with a coarse, brutal laugh, and said in a loud voice, "Want her yourself, do you? That cock won't fight here, young man." The insult was more in the tone than in the words, more in the glance than tone, and more in the man's instinctive nature than all these. The best appreciable rhetoric to this kind of animal is a blow. The master felt this, and, with his pent-up, nervous energy finding expression in the one act, he struck the brute full in his grinning face. The blow sent the glazed hat one way and the cue another, and tore the glove and skin from the master's hand from knuckle to joint. It opened up the corners of the fellow's mouth, and spoiled the peculiar shape of his beard for some time to come. There was a shout, an imprecation, a scuffle, and the trampling of many feet. Then the crowd parted right and left, and two sharp, quick reports followed each other in rapid succession. Then they closed again about his opponent, and the master was standing alone. He remembered picking bits of burning wadding from his coat sleeve with his left hand. Someone was holding his other hand. Looking at it, he saw it was still bleeding from the blow, but his fingers were clenched around the handle of a glittering knife. He could not remember when or how he got it. The man who was holding his hand was Mr. Morpher. He hurried the master to the door, but the master held back, and tried to tell him as well as he could with his parched throat about Mliss. "It's all right, my boy," said Mr. Morpher. "She's home." And they passed out into the street together. As they walked along, Mr. Morpher said that Mliss had come running into the house a few moments before, and had dragged him out, saying that somebody was trying to kill the master at the arcade. Wishing to be alone, the master promised Mr. Morpher that he would not seek the agent again that night, and parted from him, taking the road toward the schoolhouse. He was surprised in nearing it to find the door open, still more surprised to find Mliss sitting there. The master's nature, as I have hinted before, had, like most sensitive organizations, a selfish basis. The brutal taunt thrown out by his late adversary still rankled in his heart. It was possible, he thought, that such a construction might be put upon his affection for the child, which at best was foolish and quixotic. Besides, had she not voluntarily abnegated his authority and affection? And what had everybody else said about her? Why should he alone combat the opinion of all, and be at last obliged tacitly to confess the truth of all they predicted? And he had been a participant in a low bar-room fight with a common boor, and risked his life to prove what? What had he proved? Nothing? What would the people say? What would his friends say? What would McSnagley say? In his self-accusation, the last person he should have wished to meet was Mliss. He entered the door, and, going up to his desk, told the child in a few cold words that he was busy, and wished to be alone. As she rose, he took her vacant seat, and, sitting down, buried his head in his hands. When he looked up again, she was still standing there. She was looking at his face with an anxious expression. "Did you kill him?" she asked. "No," said the master. "That's what I gave you the knife for," said the child quickly. "Gave me the knife?" repeated the master in bewilderment. "Yes, gave you the knife. I was there under the bar. Saw you hit him. Saw you both fall. He dropped his old knife. I gave it to you. Why didn't you stick him?" said Mliss rapidly, with an expressive twinkle of the black eyes and a gesture of the little red hand. The master could only look his astonishment. "Yes," said Mliss. If you'd asked me, I told you I was off with the play actors. Why was I off with the play actors? Because you wouldn't tell me you was going away. I knew it. I heard you tell the doctor so. I wasn't a-going to stay here alone with those morphers. I'd rather die first." With a dramatic gesture which was perfectly consistent with her character, she drew from her bosom a few limp green leaves, and holding them out at arm's length, said in her quick, vivid way, and in the queer pronunciation of her old life, which she fell into when unduly excited: "That's the poisoned plant you said would kill me. I'll go with the play actors, or I'll eat this and die here. I don't care which. I won't stay here, where they hate and despise me. Neither would you let me, if you didn't hate and despise me too." The passionate little breast heaved, and two big tears peeped over the edge of Mliss's eyelids, but she whisked them away with the corner of her apron as if they had been wasps. "If you lock me up in jail," said Mliss fiercely, "to keep me from the play actors, I'll poison myself. Father killed himself, why shouldn't I? You said a mouthful of that root would kill me, and I always carry it here." And she struck her breast with a clenched fist. The master thought of the vacant plot beside Smith's grave, and of the passionate little figure before him. Seizing her hands in his, and looking full into her truthful eyes, he said, "Lissy, will you go with me?" The child put her arms around his neck, and said joyfully, "Yes." "But now? Tonight?" "Tonight." And, hand in hand, they passed into the road, the narrow road that had once brought her weary feet to the master's door, and which it seemed she should not tread again alone. The stars glittered brightly above them. For good or ill the lesson had been learned, and behind them the school of Red Mountain closed upon them forever. End of Mliss.